going to try and get the flank off. He's going to have two right there. Can they line up for him? What is he doing? Why did he hesitate so much? Doesn't matter. Has the CZ. Gets one. Gets taken down. Oh, he says he wanted the knife.
Originally, this video was intended to dive deep into the iBUYPOWER scandal. After all, it's the perfect Counter-Strike story. A small group of new talented players on the brink of stardom with temptation and scandal lurking in the shadows, waiting for that one crack to shatter their dreams.
Oh, Skadoodle! Skadoodle, why would... I don't understand.
Yet, through the process of revisiting the story, something became very clear to me. These players were not the villains they've been made out to be. In fact, they were punished far more harshly than the situation warranted. Now, let's just imagine if LeBron James or Lionel Messi were banned for life, all for fixing an inconsequential third league match that didn't even really matter to begin with. It would be weird and too much, but that's exactly what happened to the players of iBUYPOWER. This story isn't just about corruption, it's about redemption. I hope this video changes your mind on the iBUYPOWER scandal and the player bans, even if it's 10 years too late. This is the story of iBUYPOWER. This video is sponsored by me with Skinaways, a super simple platform listing all the active Counter-Strike giveaways and crypto giveaways on one page. If you're hosting your own giveaway, post it on Skinaways and get more people to see it. Also open up the daily case every 24 hours and win fantastic prizes. Check it out on skinaways.com. And that's all. I hope you enjoy the video. In 2014, the competitive scene of Counter-Strike Global Offensive had just started exploding, with the first Counter-Strike major held at DreamHack Winter just 1 year prior. Along with the introduction of skins, the game's popularity was soaring. The top players now weren't just gamers, they were the leading charge in a world where esports was rapidly gaining legitimacy. An industry that now promised fame, sponsorships, and life-changing amounts of money. But the introduction of in-game weapon skins and trading brought unforeseen consequences. Skins were now being used as a form of currency, and so the golden age of skin gambling sites started. Counter-Strike fans, casual players, and even professionals themselves were now introduced into an entirely new type of betting.
Oh shit, what? No! I canceled it! I canceled it! What? No way! Holy shit, 34%! Oh no! Ah! No!
Suddenly, matches weren't just about the game and the fame, but they could now make or break someone's fortune. It was in this world of blurred lines between competition and betting that iBUYPOWER, one of North America's top Counter-Strike teams, found themselves. For iBUYPOWER, the stakes could not have been higher, because they were a team of rising stars. Skadoodle, Swag, Dazed, Steel, and AZK, all heavy-hitting names in the competitive scene. They were positioned just right to compete on the world stage and to introduce the NA region into a global scene dominated by the EU teams. Yet, with so much on the line, a single decision would send their careers into a freefall. In August of 2014, iBUYPOWER faced off against Netcode Guides, a match that at face value seemed inconsequential. iBUYPOWER, a team that had dominated the scene, was heavily favored to win against Netcode Guides, and the betting markets backed that up. This match was expected to be a landslide victory. The game ended in a ridiculous 16-4 in favor of Netcode Guides, with iBUYPOWER playing horribly.
Over to B, expecting it. AZK goes down. Steel is the next. But the bomb has not even completely committed yet. He's got to get in there on Catwalk and get that bomb planted. Dazed still does not have the bomb planted. Already on top of the bomb site. And there goes Skadoodle. So Dazed will be by himself. Horseshoe right now.
The game showed sluggish play and strange decisions from iBUYPOWER all around. A performance so out of character that it raised more than a few eyebrows. This made rumors spread like a wildfire, because everybody in the Counter-Strike scene started speculating about match fixing, but nobody had any evidence. However, a few days later, speculation would be no more. January 16th, 2015. Veteran Counter-Strike journalist Richard Lewis published an expose on the .esports. In this article titled, "New Evidence Points to Match Fixing at the Highest Level of American Counter-Strike," Lewis meticulously pulled back the curtain on a dark chapter, revealing the dirty dealings behind the match-fixing scandal. The excuses came quickly. claims of exhaustion after their return from ESL, and an alleged unfamiliarity with the map's season. But no excuse could cover up the reality that Lewis uncovered. Screenshots of a Steam conversation with Shazam were exposed by a young journalist in the esports field. In the leaked conversations, Khan told a close friend the match would be fixed and to quote-unquote enjoy the show. When confronted by the Dot and others, he initially claimed he'd expose who was involved, but later changed his mind, giving a blanket no comment statement. In the meantime, during a stream with Summit1G, Dazed rejected any responsibility for the fix and strongly denied any involvement with Shazam's screenshots. But in the same interview, Shazam claimed he had no involvement in or prior knowledge of the match fixing. While he was unaware of the fix beforehand, he did know the match's outcome before it occurred. Summit1G, unaware the fix was real, stated, "We got confirmation from Dazed and Shazam, it's all bullshit." Richard Lewis' article is based on theory, not on facts. On January 5th, Derek Bourne's then-girlfriend, Ashley LaBeouf, posted in a forum thread about an upcoming match involving Torqued. Around the same time, the iBUYPOWER roster was dropped, including players Steel and Dazed, which was surprising given their status as one of NA's top CS teams.
On the other side of things, Swag with a 2K, and the scoreboard on iBUYPOWER's side is not iBUYPOWER.
In a series of leaked messages between Bourne and LaBeouf, the scandal began to unfold. Initially, the leaks were dismissed as fake, with much of the NACS community refusing to believe that the match fixing had occurred. Desperate for her story to be taken seriously, Ashley contacted the Daily Dot, who confirmed the authenticity of the text, traced back to Bourne's phone. Bourne responded publicly, claiming to have zero interest in participating in any type of revenge. Though the reality was far from personal revenge, it was about exposing the predetermined outcome of the match. In the same text, Bourne named Cud, a student and longtime NACS scene member, as the individual who placed the infamous bet. So, Cud, known for supplementing his income through skin betting and trading, was deeply involved in the scheme that would eventually rock the CSGO community. Bourne had a history of betting, as revealed by a conversation in September 2014, just a month after the infamous iBUYPOWER match, where he admitted to betting on another game after hearing about a potential throw from a Chinese team. Bourne confessed to struggling with cashing out items from CSGO Lounge to place his bets, and this wasn't the first time Bourne had been involved in suspicious betting, as he had previously collaborated with Cud to facilitate wagers on fixed matches. CSGO Lounge employee Courtney "Honey" Timpson grew suspicious of the unusual spike in large bets on the iBUYPOWER match, with many of the winning accounts linked back to Cud or his associates on Steam. Timpson, who was familiar with some of the banned individuals, noted that everyone who actually won big was linked to Cud, despite Cud's denials and his attempt to play innocent during conversations with CSGO Lounge admins, claiming that he didn't know any of the winners or understand the situation. Evidence showed that Cud had used Smurf accounts to place 9 maximum value bets, each yielding him nearly $1,200 in profit. When CSGO Lounge exposed this activity, Bourne's own text came to light, where he predicted an influx of $7,000 worth of skins into his account after the match. This revelation prompted Dot Esports to contact Valve for confirmation.
Can't win, Hazed gets a 2K to close out the round, and netcode guides still perfect 4-0.
Yeah, not often you see iBUYPOWER losing that 2 versus 2.
Shazam's eventual confession to the Daily Dot became a turning point in this investigation. Initially refusing to comment on the leaked chat logs, Shazam later admitted to placing a bet on iBUYPOWER, based on a tip from Casey Foster, the founder of Netcode Guides. Foster advised Shazam to change his bet after learning that the match was fixed, despite his insistence that he didn't want to get involved. This final piece of insider knowledge sealed the fate of iBUYPOWER's players, confirming their involvement in the match-fixing scandal. Valve was still gathering evidence and deciding on the right course of action, but iBUYPOWER players consistently denied all of the accusations. Even in a 2015 stream, Steele deliberately misled his audience about his views on the iBUYPOWER scandal, calling the Daily Dot article a whole bunch of nothing, and challenging the text message's role in his ban. Looking back, it's evident the player should have confessed immediately, but Steele's denial reflected his desperation to preserve his crumbling career. The Dot was provided with even more corroborating details from several sources, which incriminated the iBUYPOWER players even more. This turned people's attention towards the idea that the game was fixed from the start, before a gunshot was ever even fired.
Now only Daze is left alive, 1 HP, he gets taken down. FNS with a 2K for his team, and Netcode Guides will defuse the bomb, so first round goes to Netcode.
In that same article, Lewis would write, unusual bets were placed just prior to the match by a player with strong connections to players on both sides, and the result of placing these bets would earn more than $10,000. In response to this evidence, Valve made a blog post titled Integrity and Fair Play, January 26, 2015, in which they announced a lifetime ban for all iBUYPOWER players except for Skadoodle in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And those last two words, Global Offensive, are important, but we'll get back to that later. Valve also stated that, given the information we've gathered, we're uncomfortable continuing any involvement with these individuals. Professional players, managers, and staff must not gamble on CSGO matches, associate with high-volume gamblers, or share information that could influence bets. With CSGO rapidly growing in its competitive scene, fueled by investment and rising viewer numbers, Valve had to act decisively to protect the game's integrity. Ignoring the scandal would have had severe consequences.
And it's very weird to see Steel opting over Skadoodle. I don't know if Skadoodle is not feeling it right now or what is going on, but iBUYPOWER is definitely not playing like iBUYPOWER.
Following Valve's decision, major tournament organizers like ESL, DreamHack, ESEA, and FACEIT also banned the players from CSGO events to secure future majors. The one player who managed to avoid Valve sanctions in the iBUYPOWER match-fixing scandal was Tyler Skadoodle Latham, the team's AWPer. Multiple sources have consistently maintained that Skadoodle had no involvement in the match-fixing scheme. This was further confirmed in a 2017 Twitch stream by Dazed, who stated that Skadoodle had always been innocent, while reacting to Thorin's video titled The Murky Case of Swag and Skadoodle, who claimed that Skadoodle didn't receive any skins from the fix, not because he refused them, but because the person responsible for redistributing the skins didn't give him any. But this proved not to be true, and Dazed also firmly emphasized that Skadoodle had no interest in being involved from the start, adding, "Hey guys, Scott just didn't want to do anything with the matchmaking scandal from the beginning." He simply did not participate in the fix. As for the rest of the team, AZK could have easily been seen as one of the unluckiest players in esports. Dominating in Counter-Strike Source, he found himself stuck in a game with little money or support. Then, Counter-Strike Global Offensive was released, and Source quickly faded into obscurity. Just as AZK was hitting his stride in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, the iBUYPOWER match-fixing scandal led to his ban, derailing his career. AZK now pivoting to Overwatch, a promising but unpopular game at the time, AZK hoped for a fresh start. Ironically, when he was finally unbanned from some CSGO leagues and returned to a small team, Overwatch exploded into a huge esports title. AZK's timing couldn't have been worse. As for Dazed and Steel, they got a pretty good outcome after the ban, focusing on their streaming and YouTube content creation careers. Swag, the young prodigy of iBUYPOWER, expressed deep regret over his consequences of his involvement in the match-fixing scandal in a statement to HLTV. He said, "This is very unfortunate for me moving forward, but the ban was necessary to set a precedent for future players." He also expressed his hopes for redemption, saying, "I hope one day Valve may have mercy on me and let me compete again. Until then, I am deeply sorry to my fans and everyone who supported me." His words highlighted the toll the ban took on his life, as Counter-Strike Global Offensive was more than a game to him. Ever since Swag was a little kid, he was playing the game, and not just that, he was a phenomenon. You don't come across players like Swag very often, but in the blink of an eye, Swag sacrificed his entire career for a couple of skins. As Dazed and Steel continued streaming, Steel would make several statements in 2015 on his stream.
Valve's not going to listen to me because I'm that scum who did wrong by the community, and there's nothing I can do to fix that. I would do community service, I would do work for charities, I would donate to charities, I would give up all my prize winnings to charities, I would do all that so I could go through a rehabilitation. I f***ed up, I did bad, I'm willing to do good, but I don't have that opportunity. So Valve's not they're not gonna listen to me. They don't give a f*** about me. They're done with me. That's it. It's the end. There's no good I can do that will fix it.
Here's where supporters of the ban will claim, had the players confessed early, they might have received lighter punishment, but their defiance reflected their desperation to save their careers. But it's not that simple. And that's where we enter the first reason the iBUYPOWER players should be unbanned. It was during my research that I read an article about iBUYPOWER, including a very wise quote by the man Robert A. Heinelade. The instinct to survive is human nature itself, and every aspect of our personalities derive from it. I will link the article down below, but you might be wondering, how is this quote relevant to a story about professional gaming? Well, you see, this basic survival instinct mentioned in the quote to just want to survive is exactly what the players did. They weren't just lying because they're bad people. They were fighting and willing to do everything to preserve their futures and their livelihoods. Even in Skadoodle's case, the one player who didn't directly involve himself into the scandal, we can understand why he chose not to expose his teammates, because the instinct to protect and to remain silent when the stakes are high is deeply human. Skadoodle wasn't just avoiding betrayal, he was following the same primal instinct that tells us to safeguard those who are close to us, even if we know something is wrong. And things get even more interesting when you zoom out a little bit and look at the broader context of the CEVO tournament itself. The iBUYPOWER players had just returned from a major tournament, they were physically and mentally drained, and then they were forced to play a match they had little to no interest in. And on top of that, the match was against Netcode Guides, a friendly team in a tournament where iBUYPOWER had already qualified. Their loss would actually, in fact, benefit their friendly rivals. According to reports from MoTV, CEVO was allegedly pushing teams to participate in matches purely to generate revenue from betting commissions on platforms like CSGO Lounge.
There's proof of that. When they went into the iBUYPOWER thing, they found a whole lot of pros in the pro scene that had it done as well. Just so people know, because CEVO used to make money off CSGO Lounge. So CEVO literally used to force us into these games so that they could go out and say, hey, this many people watch our game. Look how many people bet on our games. We're a big league, come buy us. And they sold.
And just imagine you're in their shoes for a moment. You've just given your everything in a major, only to be asked to play a meaningless match right after that. Not only is there no glory in this, but the entire system feels rigged against you, designed to profit off your efforts through CSGO Lounge while you gain nothing in return. And just to add to that, there were no actual clear rules at the time against match fixing, so if you're fed up with being a pawn in the system, why wouldn't you throw the match? Why should you genuinely care about a game that feels like a formality? It's not about the money, because sometimes it's about reclaiming control in an environment that has stripped you of your freedom. Let's also not overlook another key factor, because Dazed, a leading player in the iBUYPOWER roster, had a financial interest in Netcode Guides as a part owner of the website. And this also further explains why this match in particular seemed like an opportunity to bend the rules, especially since CEVO, the organizer, should have known better than to pair these two teams in such circumstances. At the time, without clear regulations on match fixing, it probably seemed like a calculated and even justified decision. But here's where the big question comes to play. Was this act of match fixing really deserving of the harshest possible punishment? After all, the players were not cheating. They were also not exploiting the game mechanics to gain an unfair advantage over others. They threw one game, and it was a meaningless one. And they threw that game within a system that was designed to exploit their labor. Can we really compare this to something like cheating, where the integrity of the game is fundamentally compromised? Let's take a look at the case of Forsaken, the player infamous for using cheats in a live tournament match with a file hilariously named word.exe. His actions directly undermined the integrity of the competition, and yet he received a ban of only 5 years. A true slap on the wrist, because this ban already expired of September this year. Forsaken's cheating didn't just impact one match, it called into question every game he had ever played. So why, in contrast, did the iBUYPOWER team face an indefinite ban when their actions didn't exploit the game's mechanics, but rather the external sources surrounding it? Match fixing, especially in a context where no rules explicitly prohibit it at the time, seems to warrant a different, perhaps more lenient approach. After all, we must consider the environment that allowed this behavior to flourish, a system that pushed players to make decisions they wouldn't have otherwise made. If this has not convinced you yet, I have another argument to present to you. Because when Valve originally handed down the indefinite bans for the iBUYPOWER players, the ban was explicitly tied to CSGO. A game that, while incredibly similar to CS2, is technically distinct. Valve didn't ban these players from competitive gaming as a whole, nor did they apply a universal ban across all their titles. The focus was on match fixing within Counter-Strike Global Offensive, a game whose competitive scene and ecosystem existed within a certain set of rules, none of which mentioned match fixing. Fast forward to today, and the competitive ecosystem has shifted. Counter-Strike 2 isn't just a patch or an update, it is an entirely new game, with its own nuances, mechanics, and competitive environment. With the introduction of a new game comes the potential for reforming, for new policies, and crucially, for reassessing old decisions that were made under a different set of circumstances. These players, once banned under Counter-Strike Global Offensive, should now have the opportunity to compete again. Today, the competitive scene is much more regulated, and the lessons learned from the past have now informed stronger safeguards to protect the integrity of the game. But with this new game, shouldn't these players who have been effectively punished for nearly a decade be given a second chance? Counter-Strike 2 represents a fresh start, both for the game and its community. It has now been almost 10 years since the iBUYPOWER scandal happened, and we can see that since the introduction of Counter-Strike 2, there's been a shift in Valve's position. Some of the most significant news is regarding Joshua, better known as Steel. Valve announced that his ban will officially expire in January of 2025. This means Steel will finally be eligible to compete in Counter-Strike 2 tournaments at the highest level once again. It's still uncertain if the other members of the iBUYPOWER roster like Swag, Dazed, and AZK will face the same fate. None of these players have officially been unbanned yet from Valve-sponsored competitions, even though some have expressed hope or interacted with Steel's announcement. While some players from the scandal remain in competitive gaming through other avenues like Valorant or third-party games, Valve's decision may open the door for broader reconsiderations regarding the bans that originated from the CSGO era. But whether this marks the start for a broader resolution for all the iBUYPOWER players remains to be seen.
Should I call Daze right now on his phone? Yo, should I call Daze on his phone right now and congratulate him?
Hello?
Daze, you there?
What's up?
Congratulations, my man.
What's up?
You're unbanned.
What?
You're unbanned. It's all over.
What am I?
Huh?
You trolling me?
No, I swear to God, bro, you're unbanned.